Hey everyone, I'm Erica from the blog Buttered Side Up, and today I'd like to share with you the story of our Craigslist kitchen. So it all started last year. My sister told me about a kitchen that she had seen on Craigslist. Basically they were selling the cabinets, the stove, the fridge, the dishwasher, and she kind of just asked me what I thought of the kitchen. So I looked at the listing on Craigslist and I started to think, because we were kind of in the process still of building our house, and we were looking at cabinets for our kitchen. On Craigslist it was listed for $6,500, and that was much cheaper than what it would have cost if we would have bought cabinets new. We were planning on purchasing a new stove for our new house. Since it came with a stove as well, that was going to save even more money. So I felt kind of bad about just buying it out from under my sister, so I called her and kind of sheepishly was like, hey, what would you think if I bought the kitchen instead? And come to find out, she was actually telling me about this kitchen with the hopes that I would buy it for our new house. So the kitchen was being sold by an agent of a construction company. And so we set up an appointment to go and look at it. And we had kind of already decided that unless the cabinets were in really bad condition, that we would purchase the kitchen, because at that price, it was just seemed like a steal of a deal. We went to the house. We looked over the kitchen and everything seemed to be in pretty good condition. You know, there was a few nicks here and there. It was 10 plus years old, so it wasn't like it was in pristine condition or anything, but it was pretty good. And the quality of the cabinets were a lot higher than what we could have afforded if we were to purchase new. So we decided to go ahead and get the kitchen. And we paid $500 down and we went on our way. And we had to wait for the construction company to uninstall the kitchen. So it was about, I would say about a month and a half to 2 months later that the construction company uninstalled the kitchen. But things started to get kind of disappointing. So the agent contacted me and she said that the stove, which was natural gas and we are on propane, she said that the stove would not be able to be converted to propane, just that model wasn't able to be converted. So that was a disappointment, because the big thing that drew me to this kitchen was that it had a Wolf range, and that would have saved us a lot of money instead of purchasing a new stove. But she took $800 off of the price, and we decided to go ahead and purchase the kitchen anyway. And she also said that the countertops were cracked as they were uninstalling it, but it was kind of an ugly dark green granite color, so I wasn't too upset about it anyway. So Ruben went down with his brother and his cousin to pick up the kitchen in July of last year. And when they got there, it was pretty disappointing. Several of the cabinets had been damaged in the uninstall because apparently an unskilled crew came and finished the uninstall and they were not careful, and so they damaged some of the cabinets. And it was disheartening because Ruben works in construction and he could tell that that damage was not necessary. If you would have been careful, if he could have uninstalled it, it would have been fine. We got the agent to go down even further in price because of the damage, so the total we paid was $5,000. So Ruben loaded it up into a large enclosed trailer and headed home. And that kitchen just sat in that trailer for many months as we worked on finishing the rest of the house. We needed to finish the exterior still, and we had to install the flooring and paint the walls and everything before we could even work on the kitchen. So in March of last month, Ruben was finally able to get to the kitchen. He loaded it all off into the garage and he started working on preparing it for the install. So he had to, of course, repair some of the cabinets and then prepare them for painting. And I picked out kind of like a medium cool tone blue for the paint color, and we went with Echo's paint, which is a more non-toxic option. It was important to me to choose a non-toxic option for the paints in our house. We also had to purchase 3 new cabinets because of the damage. Some of them were damaged so much that we couldn't reuse them. And also just with the layout of our kitchen, like we needed to purchase a corner cabinet, which they didn't have in the original kitchen. And we had to purchase one more small cabinet just to make the whole layout work. And that ran us about $3,800. So Ruben purchased a spray painter and he was able to spray the cabinets, which worked out pretty well. After he had the cabinets painted, the work was just beginning. We have a house that is slab on grade. The concrete was not super level in the kitchen. So Ruben, first of all, had to set the cabinets and make sure that they were level so that the countertops could be installed without being all wobbly. He also had to redo the exterior of some of the cabinets because they were damaged and some of them were meant more like to be against a wall. He had to reface some of them. So he decided to go with X's on the front and sides of the island, and I'm really happy with how that turned out. I really like the character that it gives to the kitchen. He also had to do some crown molding around the fridge cabinet because it didn't reach to the ceiling, and I thought that it just looked very odd for it to be kind of just hovering right above the ceiling. It wasn't like a standard cabinet distance between the cabinet and the ceiling. Because we have 9-foot ceilings, it was kind of just this awkward distance. So he did crown molding around the top of the fridge cabinet, and I'm happy with how that turned out too. And then we had to make decisions on what countertops we wanted, what sinks we wanted, the faucets that we wanted. It was all just a lot of decisions that I had to make that I knew were going to affect me for the rest of my life, so I'd better make the right choice. We also went with open shelving, so instead of using the uppers, we just decided to go all open shelving in the kitchen except for the fridge cabinet. And Ruben used a method that we saw online where you put threaded rods into the wall and then you drill holes into the wooden shelves that you're going to use, and then you insert that onto the threaded rod, and it's just a way of making a really stable open shelf. We purchased some 3-inch thick boards, and when we got them I was like, okay, wow, 3 inches is way too thick for open shelving. That's just gonna look weird. So Ruben borrowed a planer from a friend, and he was able to plane the boards down, and that got them really smooth. The sad thing is they did kind of warp, and so the shelves aren't perfectly straight, but it's pretty good. I say it's just rustic. Another thing that we did ourselves, or I should say Ruben did, I came up with the design and he did the follow through, and he actually built it, was our range hood cover. So I really wanted to have a custom range hood, and I saw several designs on Pinterest, but I really liked this one with the shiplap because it seemed like it would be a very doable DIY project, and I really liked how it looked. And we have shiplap in a couple other places in our house, so I thought that tied in really well. And because we were doing open shelving pretty much everywhere in our kitchen, we also decided to take the subway tile backsplash all the way up to the ceiling. And I actually got involved in that project, and it was my first time doing tiling, and it was kind of stressful, to be honest, because when you're putting in the grout, you have to scrub it out in just the right timing, otherwise you're going to have grout lines that are really thick. Anyway, it's a long story, but it was kind of fun to get involved, but also kind of stressful. And then another way that we were trying to save money was to purchase our pot filler on eBay. We had all of the plumbing in place for the pot filler, but it was just going to be an extra expense, and I was kind of like, oh, is this just a waste of money? Is this just frivolous? But Ruben really liked the idea. He thought that it would really add to the character of the kitchen, and I totally agree now. But anyway, we tried to purchase the pot filler on eBay. It was open box, and the listing said it was in perfect open box condition. So we received the pot filler and it was bent. It seemed like it was a manufacturer defect, and so we had to send that back, and then we purchased it on Faucet Warehouse, which is actually where we got our other kitchen faucets, and which is a great deal. I highly recommend that. So that's how we bought the majority of our kitchen cabinets off of Craigslist. I definitely think it wouldn't be for everyone. You really need to consider all of the work that would go into it before you do this, and you would either need to be willing to hire somebody or already have some skills with carpentry. But it definitely worked out, and we were able to save money that way and get higher quality cabinets than we would have otherwise. I'm planning on doing a full kitchen tour for you later, so stay tuned for that. So that's the story of our Craigslist kitchen. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing for more videos. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.